In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we discuss issues of the underserved and marginalized communities and how we can best help to solve those issues. Tonight, we have a very special show with a very special guest. We have Miss Cheryl Blakeney. Cheryl Blakeney, a New York native now residing in Orlando, Florida, is driven by a God-given passion to help others. For 23 years, she has dedicated herself to mentoring young women, empowering them to achieve their educational goals through a scholarship program. With over 4 decades of experience in the financial services industry as a senior accountant, Cheryl's passion for numbers empowers her to simplify complex financial concepts for her clients. Recognizing the importance of financial literacy, Cheryl pursued a career in finance. She is committed to sharing her financial knowledge through various platforms and venues. Everyone deserves access to financial education, not just the wealthy. Cheryl is passionate about sharing her financial knowledge and empowering others as the owner of the financial education specialist of Financial Fitness Consulting, LLC. She believes in the power of financial literacy. Her motto, financial fitness, is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. It reflects her dedication to helping individuals build strong financial foundations. Cheryl seeks to collaborate with other local businesses, nonprofits, and churches to empower, equip, and educate their clients, congregations, and employees with the knowledge and tools they need to achieve financial success and build a brighter future with clarity and confidence. Cheryl has been happily married for 37 years. She cherishes her role as mother of 4 adult children and grandmother of 3 wonderful grandchildren. In her free time, Cheryl enjoys spending time with the family, volunteering, empowering others, and living life to the fullest. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring to the show Miss Cheryl Blakeney. Hello, Cheryl.
Hi, Charles. How are you?
Okay, your camera is off.
It says it's on. I'm not sure why it's not showing, but it says that it's on and it's not disabled.
Okay. Well,
Okay, I'm just going to be able to talk tonight.
okay.
Wow.
Well, let's just push through. Is there anything you'd like to add to your bio before we get started with the show?
No, basically that was my bio, and that tells a lot about who I am and what I do. And 2 things I do want to add: that I love to help people. I love to give back. I mean, that's my passion. It's always been my passion to be able to give back to the community and make a difference.
Okay, can you tell us? Let's start with you as an entrepreneur. So tell us, what inspired you to transition from accounting to entrepreneurship?
Well, it all started with accounting. So what happened was, I've actually been in the corporate world for more than 4 decades. So I've been helping corporations and businesses with their profit and loss statements, their balance sheets. So I was actually invited to an event almost a decade ago to be able to help individuals with their finances. So that's what really got me into entrepreneurship.
Okay. And so did you just decide that, since you were just doing numbers, that accounting or financial literacy was just the way for you to just continue to reach back and expand the success of what you had done previously?
Yes, it was because, like I said, I love to give back. My pastor always tells us we were not put on this earth for us. We were put on this earth to give back to others. So combining my accounting and loving to help people, it was like for me, it was a no-brainer.
Oh, wow. So how did you develop the vision for Free Your Money Now?
Well, basically, we all work hard for our money, but at some point in life, you're going to want your money to work hard for you. So when you think about freeyourmoneynow.com, which is my website, it's like, how do I go about freeing up my money so that I can live the financial abundance that I've always wanted to live? So it's not about what you make, it's how much you keep, but what you're doing with that money that you're keeping.
So what challenges did you face when starting your own business, and how did you overcome them?
Well, in the beginning, the challenges is I know the belief that I have when it comes to financial literacy, and it's just changing people's mindset as far as when it comes to financial literacy. Because, like I said, everyone deserves financial literacy, not just the wealthy. So for me, it was getting people to understand, changing their mindset more from a poverty mindset to an abundance mindset. So that was the for me, that was in the beginning, just having people change their mindset, knowing that it doesn't matter how rich you are or how poor you are. Everybody can use their financial literacy to actually get ahead.
Okay. Well, what I love about that is that, just in when you talk about just dealing with the numbers, and you're talking about financial literacy and things of that nature. I think for a lot of the underserved, marginalized communities where people don't have that resource, I'm more than sure that the people that you reach out to and the people that you help are very appreciative that you're actually offering that kind of information.
Yes, like I said, financial literacy is the basic when it comes to your finances. Do you have a budget in place? Do you have an emergency fund? If you have children or grandchildren, do you have a financial future set for them? Do you have something, a goal in place? Also, when it comes to financial planning, which a lot of people don't think about, is having life insurance in place. You are your most valuable asset. So you want to make sure that you are protected, not just for yourself, but for your family as well. So when I talk about financial literacy, is giving them all the basic when it comes to your finances. But one of the main things is people don't know and people don't even think about is the rule of 72. So when we talk about financial literacy, the rule of 72 is so important because this is how your money grow. And if you don't know that rule, you are slowly losing your money daily, weekly, annually. But this is what a lot of people don't think about. Warren Buffett, the billionaire, says there's two things when it comes to money. Never lose your money. And the second rule he always says is don't forget rule number one. But in order to know that rule, you need to know the rule of 72.
And we're going to actually get into that a whole lot. But that right there definitely speaks volumes for a lot of folk that, especially those that aren't actually familiar, they're going to learn what that is tonight. I can tell you that. Um, what does a typical day look like for you as an entrepreneur?
Well, since I am still working full time, so I'm a full time accountant and I'm a part time entrepreneur. But when it comes to entrepreneur, everyone knows that's really a full time business at the same time. So for me, I do my accounting during the day, during the week, and then I focus on my clients, in the evening, on the weekends, because I want to be able to give them that education when it comes to their finances. So from an entrepreneur standpoint, like I said, I'm more of a part-time entrepreneur, but still doing it full-time to be able to help my clients.
Okay. So how do you balance being a business owner with your personal life?
I don't know if they call it balance because everybody said they always ask me, well, when do you sleep? So I don't think it's more of, I don't think we would call it balance because sometimes you got to put a little bit more here or a little bit less there. So it's what you do with what you got. So, for me, as far as balancing, I make sure I do have time with my family, have time with my grandchildren, but also have time to be able to answer any questions from my clients. So it's not a balance like 50-50. It might be some days 70-30, some days might be 60-40. So it's not a balancing act per se when it comes to being an entrepreneur. You just need to know what you need to do to be able to give back to your clients, in addition to making sure you're taking care of yourself as well, because that's so important.
So what advice would you give to someone looking to start their own business?
First of all, it's not easy. I actually started in a business really late. I'm a baby boomer, so I started in the business really late. But the one advice that I would give any entrepreneur, and this is what my mother gave me, not as an entrepreneur, but one of my values is don't quit. No matter what you do, times are going to be hard. You're going to have your up days, you're going to have your down days, but you're not going to know if you're victorious if you end up quitting.
Right.
So I instilled that in my children and my grandchildren. Whatever you do, don't quit. And that's entrepreneur. Just keep going, because it is a light at the end of that tunnel. But if you stop, you're never going to get.
So
Whatever you do, don't quit.
So, can you tell us this? With your entrepreneurship, are you planning any expansions or any special projects at this time?
No, for me, it's more about giving back, educating. It's the education when it comes to your finances, which is the most important thing, because we all work hard for our money. But at some point in life, we want our money to work hard for us. So it's not about expansion, it's about being able to give the knowledge to those that don't know. We don't know what we don't know. It actually changed my life almost a decade ago. So I want to be able to pay it forward when it comes to financial literacy.
So when it comes to your entrepreneurship, are you doing any collaborations or working partnerships with any other companies as far as your business structure?
Right now, my aim is to be able to collaborate with nonprofits, church congregations, small businesses, to give them that information, when it comes to financial literacy. So for me, I aim to collaborate with, small businesses, whether it's a Boys and Girls Club, it's a community center, it's a mom's group, those nonprofits that don't have that financial literacy. And then even churches. I mean, we talk about, money is kind of taboo in church, but everybody needs to know it's not money that's evil. It's the root of how you use your money. So
Yes.
everyone needs to know, what is the foundation when it comes to your money? Are you a good steward of your money? So that's what I want to be able to bring to different church congregations. And then when it comes to small businesses, what is your succession plan when you're getting ready to leave your small business? Do you have something in place? Are you going to leave your business to someone? Do you have life insurance if you have a business partner? Do you have life insurance on each other? So that's the most important for me, the collaboration, to be able to bring my financial knowledge.
Okay. So how do you stay motivated and focused on your goals?
I am a very positive person, and everyone knows I am so positive. So I think for me is knowing that I'm making a difference. That is what motivates me every single day, knowing that I've made a difference. I don't want to make the difference. I want to be the difference in someone's life. So that's what motivates me every single day. And I'm a very positive person.
Oh, wow. I love that. Because, I'm one that believes that, when we practice positive reinforcement, and we say it and we be about it on that daily basis, it's what we get back because we put it in the atmosphere. What do you think about that?
That is so true. That is so true. Like they say, you reap what you sow, like you plant good seeds when it comes to positivity, your values, being around people that have the same values that you have. So yeah, I definitely believe in that when it comes to positivity.
So, what role has networking played in your entrepreneurial journey?
Networking is huge, especially in my business. I do a lot of networking. I've actually just had a women's summit that I just did this weekend. And actually, one of the young ladies, I handed out one of my cards, and she actually reached out to me today. And she said, I would love to find out what you do. So, networking is huge. Going out, if it's networking, virtually, if it's person to person, like I said, to be able to give this information to others, when it comes to financial literacy. So I am huge when it comes to networking. I've gave out so many business cards. And actually I had a person that I connected with on LinkedIn almost 7 years ago. And they reached out to me just the other day because they had a friend that actually needed life insurance. This goes back 7 years. So the power of networking is amazing. It is huge.
So, how do you measure success in your business?
Success for me is knowing that I have changed a person's life, one person at a time. So for me, I wear a lot of hats, based on my bio, being an accountant, being a mentor, and, being a financial educator. But success for me is seeing what you have done for another person's life. So let me talk a little bit about mentoring. Is that okay with you, Charles?
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to mentoring, I work with young ladies that come from lower income families, and the program is called Take Stock in Children. So I'm a mentor, but I call myself a cheerleader. So knowing that I made a difference when these young ladies graduate from high school, graduate from college, I've been doing this for 23 years, and actually two of my young ladies just graduated in 2024. One graduated from University of Central Florida, and the other one graduated from the University of North Florida. But they are still in contact with me. I met them when they were 16. They are now 24 years old. But I know that I made a difference in their life.
Mm. And now that's a very impactful thing to do. When it comes to your
Mhm.
community, because I think, when you say how you like to reach back, I know that
Mhm.
that's got to speak volumes, because when you start doing that and the word of mouth gets out, not only does it help business wise, but also for those that want to learn. Have you had any of the young folk actually ask you about starting a business and talk to you about their future goals?
Well, I have not had them ask me anything about a business, but I have quite a few that are now mentors. So I know the impact of mentoring. They wanted to be able to give back as well. So it's not business wise, but mentoring, like I said, it's huge because everybody you can use a mentor. You're a cheerleader. You're there to put the belief in them until they can believe in
Mhm.
themselves. So I have two of my students now they're actually becoming mentors. So to me, I know I made a difference in those young ladies' lives.
What has been the most rewarding moment in your career so far?
The most rewarding moment, which I would say from not from a business standpoint, but also going back to mentoring. So I had one young lady, she graduated back in 2016. She was the first in her family to graduate from high school.
Oh, wow.
Her parents did not graduate. Her grandmother did not graduate. She had a brother that was 2 years older than her. So I'm sitting in the audience watching her receive her diploma. So you talk about rewarding. That was the most rewarding experience for me of all my years of mentoring.
Wow. Let's let's transition over to financial literacy, because I know that not only is that one of the big things you do, but I think that's also one of the main reasons. I think we have people that are watching this show that needs to get some understanding and learn a few things. And
Mhm.
so let's just start with, why do you believe financial literacy is so important in today's world?
I believe it's important, especially to start when you're young, because we have young people graduating from high school. Some of them never seen a checkbook. Some of them don't know what a credit card credit score is. They don't know what FICO is. So if you know these things before you graduate from high school, before you go out into the real world, try to figure out what are you going to do with your money. That's why financial literacy is so important. It's just giving them the basic foundation when it comes to their finances. I actually had a young man one time told me, yeah, I want to make $1 million. Well, do you know what that means? But they don't think about that, you know? So it's just being able to give them that basic foundation when it comes to financial literacy. And what does that mean? You know, financial literacy, we talk about financial abundance. Well, how do you get there? You know, financial literacy includes the rule of 72, which is the basic foundation when with financial literacy. So it's just those little baby steps that people need to start. You know, you can't see the whole picture. So just take one step at a time when it comes to financial literacy.
So as we're getting into this, so can you tell us about the rule of 72? What is that exactly, and what does it do?
Okay, so the rule of 72 is basically a formula that was created and made famous by Albert Einstein. Even though he failed math, he actually made this rule famous. So the rule of 72 is you take 72, you divide it by your interest rate, whether you have an interest rate on your credit card, whether you get an interest rate in your saving account, you divide it by 72. That is the amount of years it's going to take for your money to double. So basically, say you was getting interest rate and the bank was giving you interest rate at 3%. 72 divided by 3 is actually 24. Sorry, guys. It's 24. So that means every 24 years, your money is going to double. So imagine, Charles, I gave you $10,000. You're age 20. Okay. And so every 24 years, that money is going to double. So by the time you're getting ready to retire, it doubled 3 times because you're about almost 72, almost 72 at that age. But you only have $60,000. But it took you almost 72 years for that money to double when you think about it. So that rule is so important. But the sad thing is a lot of people don't know the rule of 72. It works for you and it works against you. Right now, the national average interest rate in a savings of the banks across America is 0.18%. Take that same rule of 72. 72 divided by 0.18 is 400 years. So that means if you're putting your money in the bank at 0.18%, it's going to take your money 400 years to double. Now, we know we don't have 400 years in our lifetime, but this is what people don't think about when it comes to their interest rate. Now, let me flip that. The national interest rate for your credit card is about 21%. So take 72, because the same rule applies. Take 72 divided by 21. It's about 3 years and 4 months. But what that means is every 3.5 years, your debt is going to double. So if you had a credit card, you maxed it at $10,000, you never used it for the next 3 years, just based on interest alone, that debt is going to go from $10,000 to $20,000 in 3 years. And this is what people don't think about or don't know when it comes to their credit card interest.
So can you shed some light on the importance of banking money and saving money and investing money, and which is best?
Okay. Well, it depends on where you're at in life. Okay. So I always tell people saving and investing is totally two different things. But one thing I tell people is putting your money in the bank, you cannot save your way to wealth. There's no way, no how. If the average interest rate is 0.18%, you cannot save your way to wealth. So investing is so important, but you want to work with a very a confident person that knows a little bit about investments, because right now the stock market, the volatility, what's going on right now in the world, The volatility of the stock market is huge. So you want to be able to sit down and work with someone, especially when it comes to investment, because as you get older and you're close to retirement age, you don't want to lose your money. You're more conservative, where you have a young person in their 20s, in their 30s, they got time to lose their money because they have time for their money to grow. But when it comes to, saving versus investing, actually, I have an illustration. I do a webinar, so I have the illustration. We had two people. One person saved $1,000 and one person invested $1,000. One was 2% interest rate and the other one was 8% rate of return. So rate of return and investment interest rate is interchangeable, except interest rate goes with savings, rate of return goes with your investment. So based on my illustration, the person that saved $1,000 after 40 years at 2%, they went from $1,000 to $2,300. 40 years,
Wow.
Charles. Now the person that invested, their interest rate, their rate of return was 8%. So that same 40 years, their $1,000 was almost $20,000. So almost 10 times more than the person
Right.
that saved. So investing and saving it's totally two different worlds, but you have to know what you're doing when it comes to investing, or you have to work with somebody that you feel confidence in working with when it comes to investing. And you want, especially when you're close to your retirement years, you don't want to lose your money.
Mhm. Oh, I know that's right. Look, you don't work too hard to get it. Now, if you lose it, oh my God, how you gonna
Right,
make up for that?
right, right. I mean, I had a situation where back in 2008, we had the housing market crash, and
You're
people
right.
lost like 40% of their 401k, their IRA. Well, I had a business partner. His mom lost in her retirement back in 2008, $196,000
Oh my God.
in her 401k. She was going to retire. She was a nurse. So she had been working with a financial planner because she had been in nursing for the last 15 years. But
Mhm.
would you believe she just retired in 2022?
Oh my God.
15 years later. That's how long it took for her
Mhm.
money to grow in order for her to
Mhm.
feel comfortable to retire. Because the more you lose, the more it's going to take in order for your money to get to the starting point. So people say, oh, I lost 10%. I only need to gain 10% back. You lose 10%, you have to gain 11%. You lose 30%, you have to gain 43%. Back in 2008, when people lost 40% of their 401k, they had to gain 67%. So if you had $100,000 and you lost $40,000, in order to get back to that $100,000, you have to have gained $67,000 just to get back to the starting point of 100,000 and grow from there. So can you imagine my business partner mom losing $196,000?
Wow. That's a
That's
lot of
almost
money.
$200,000 that she
Right.
lost.
Ooh, so can you tell us what are the most common financial mistakes people make and how can they avoid them?
I think the most common mistake is they're not sure how to get started. Should I pay off my credit cards? Should I have an emergency? Should I have an emergency fund? Everyone needs liquid money. It doesn't matter if it's in a bank account, if it's in a credit union, everyone needs liquid money. But I think what happens with a lot of people is, everybody wants to be rich or be wealthy, but you got to know where to start. So
Right.
I think the misconcept when it comes to money is it's not how much you make. You can make $30,000 or you can make $100,000. You can make 30,000 and save more than the person that made 100,000 because you know how to manage your money. That's the difference. It's money management because you have six-figure earners that actually are broke,
Mhm.
like literally are broke.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's how do
Yeah.
you manage your money? It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. But what are you doing with the money that you're keeping? Where are you putting it at? Are you putting it in an emergency fund? Are you putting it into life insurance, which you can grow, you can grow your cash value through life insurance. Are you putting it in a 401k? Is that company matching your 401k? It's just things like that. When I sit down with my clients, first we have to have a goal. What are you trying to accomplish? If you're trying to buy a house in the next 5 or 10 years, how do you get there? You got to start somewhere. So you have a separate account for money that you want to put towards your house as your down payment. So it's different things that you need to have in place when it comes to money management.
So can you give our audience some tips as to money management, how that looks like, and what are some of the things that they should be thinking about when it comes to managing money?
Okay. Well, when we talk about managing money, like, people either, work a 9 to 5, some people have a part-time hustle, some people are entrepreneurs, but it's the main thing that you need to have is a budget. And not just have a budget, but to stick with that budget. Because if you have income coming in and you have expenses going out, but you don't know, most people know how much they make every 2 weeks or every week. So you know your income. But if you have expenses and you're not accounting for it, then when it comes to, well, I want to put like $50 in my bank account, but at the end of the month you had -10. Well, how did that happen? Because you didn't have a budget in place. So working in corporate world, most corporations start their budget in September for the next year.
Right.
For the next year. So right now, my company, we just finished our budget at the end of September for 2025. So just having that budget in place and sticking to it. Sometimes, some days, some months something might happen. You might have to dip into the money that you're trying to save. But I always tell people, be consistent. Keep yourself accountable for what you say you want to do. And I think that's what makes a difference when it comes to money management.
So how do you approach teaching financial literacy to individuals from different backgrounds?
To me, it doesn't matter what background you came from, what demographics, what your, as far as what you make, is just teaching them the financial foundation. So actually, every Thursday, I have a webinar. It's called Financial Freedom Roadmap. And I show them the basic foundation when it comes to their finances. The rule of 72, having a budget, an emergency fund, having protection for your family, which is life insurance. If you're getting ready to retire, if you're within 10 to 15 years of retirement, do you know how much money you need to take you through your retirement years? Because what happens with a lot of retirees is like, yay, I'm 65, I want to retire. But have you thought about how much money you need to take through your retirement years? You see a lot of seniors now working at Walmart, working at the grocery stores, being baggers, being customer service, because they never thought about, I'm going to need this amount of money, in order to take me through my retirement years. You have your Social Security. Some people might have a pension. Some people might have a 401k. But, once you retire, you don't have a full-time job. So that full-time income is not the same. So you want to be able to, manage that money as well.
So let me ask you this. Now, this is kind of like quick fast. What are some suggestions you may have for people today, because of the uncertainty in times that we're in right now, and everybody's pinching? What are some suggestions for people today?
Okay, so let's talk about people that's in the corporate world that have a 401k. So the volatility of the stock market, what's going on right now in the world. So we always say, don't take your money out. It's just write it out. Eventually it's going to pass at some point. We don't know when it's going to pass, but don't get scared, because that's what happened in 2008. A lot of people took their money out the market because they didn't know what was going to happen. But just stay firm, when it comes to, especially if you're working in corporate and you have a 401k. And do not look at your 401k every day. Don't even look at the news every day, because you're going to get frustrated. But if you're in it for the long haul, eventually it's going to rebound, when it comes to your money.
What strategies do you recommend for building financial security?
The strategies that I would recommend for building is, first of all, starting with the basic foundation. If whatever you have, whatever you have left over monthly, see what you're going to do. So each of my clients are different. So whatever you have at the end of the month, what are you trying to accomplish? Because that's the main thing when it comes to strategizing. What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to pay off your credit cards? How are you trying to pay off those credit cards? It's different ways to pay off the credit cards. You have a snowball effect, you have an avalanche effect. But I always tell my clients, whatever you do, if if you saved $100 for the next 2 months, if you paid off a credit card, celebrate those small wins because you want to feel like you accomplished something. So when it comes to strategy, put something in place. Like I sit down with my clients, we sit down and we figure out what are you trying to accomplish? Because if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, you don't know where you're going. So how do you get started?
That's
so
true.
the strategy is, what are you trying to accomplish? And we start from day one and then build from there. I actually back in 2018, I actually had one of my church sisters. She didn't have a savings account, and she kept telling me, "Sis Cheryl, I'm going to get a savings account." So what I told her was, start with $25 every 2 weeks. Start with $50 every 2 weeks. Start with something, because 5 years from now, you're going to be saying the same thing. Man, I wish I would have started that savings account. So the strategy is, start where you are. Start with what you have, because you can't start with what you don't have. So the strategy is, start with what you have. So if you have $100 a month, at the end of 2025, if you save for 12 months, you have $1,200 more than what you didn't have. Versus, no, I think I'm going to wait. So next year, you still don't have $1,200. So the strategy is, always start where you are.
So, how do you help people overcome their fear of managing money?
Well, you know what? When it comes to money, it's a numbers game. And the thing about it is, most people are really scared of numbers. And so they're very fearful when it comes to numbers. So I myself, I love numbers. Being in the accounting world for almost 44 years, I love numbers. So it's just being able to explain to someone, when it comes to your numbers, like I said, what are we trying to do? But everyone has fears when it comes to numbers. Like, I mean, some people get anxiety when it comes to numbers and when it comes to, managing their money. But I try to take it one step at a time. I remember for me back in 2020, during the pandemic, I lost my job. My husband lost his job. We was living on unemployment for a year and a half. And I'm an accountant, but I knew the struggles. So I know the struggle people go through. So when
Right.
people say, Cheryl, I don't have it, trust me, I've been there. Emergency fund, that didn't exist for me back in 2020. I was literally living unemployment check month to month. So I know the struggle that people go through. So I want to be there to be able to help you through that struggle, because I've been there. So I can talk because I walk the walk when it comes to finances.
So, tell us, what is your favorite financial literacy tip to share with others?
My financial literacy step would be my motto, which is, financial fitness is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And what that means is, just like when you go exercising, they said, the more you exercise, those muscles get strong. Well,
Yeah.
your financial fitness muscles are your budget, your emergency fund, paying off your credit cards, debt management. What do you have in place for your children's education? Like in my case, I have grandchildren. I actually, almost a decade ago, I put something in place for their financial future. Before they even get out of high school, college, they already have something in place.
Mm. That's interesting. So, let's use that as an example. I mean, so are those things that you have to go a little bit more in depth with them to to get them ready to be financial savvy? Or is there anything that they just learn from just the tips that you give them on a daily basis?
Well, usually what I do, like I said, I do my weekly webinar, and then I actually sit down with my clients, the one that's interested. I sit down and we go through, what are you trying to accomplish? What is your goal? So the financial foundation is the beginning, but you want to build on that foundation. So that's why I say it's a financial fitness muscle. You want to build on that foundation. If I gave you this tip as far as the rule of 72, so you have a credit card, go back and look at your statement. What is your interest rate? What is the balance on that credit card? Now you know, based on what I told you, how long it's going to take you to pay off that interest, to pay off that credit card. Prior to me giving you the rule of 72, you will have no idea how long it's going to take you to pay off that credit card. So it's those basic foundations and knowing what, how to get started when it comes to your finances.
Wow. How do you tailor your financial advice to meet the needs of young people?
I love to work with young people. But the thing about young people, they don't think about, well, first of all, they don't want to think about retirement. I'm 20 years old. I don't want to think about age 65. That's so far in the future. So I always tell young people, don't think about it as far as retirement. Think about it as your financial future. Where do you want to be at in those years when you get ready to retire? Because retirement is not an age. Retirement is not an age. It's a number. How much money have I accumulated by the time I retire? You can retire at 40 years old. You don't have to be 65. You can be 45. Mm-hmm. So when I talk with young people, they don't want to hear retirement. Miss Cheryl, 65, that's so far away. So I said, think about it like this. This is your financial future we're talking about. So if you start saving your money now, by the time you're 65 years old, you can be a multi-millionaire. But we got to start now. And that's what I like to tell young people. Start now. I wish I would have known this information when I was in my 20s. I've been a multi-millionaire based on working. We've all been multi-millionaires based on the number of years I've been working for 44 years. So I've been a multi-millionaire, but can I tell you where that money is now? No. Because we don't think about it. So that's what I tell young people. Start now. I mean, I have millennials. I have Gen Zs. I have grandbabies. I teach them the importance of, they have a savings account. Grandma sends them money every month. 75% goes in the savings account, and you can spend the other 25%. But grandma, well, you can either do it my way or not get it at all. So you take it how you want to take it.
Okay.
And my daughter is on board with that.
Get that discipline going.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, discipline and accountability. But start young. I think financial literacy, they don't teach in high school. They should actually start in middle school and build on it for the next 4 to 5, 6 years before they even graduate from high school. Back in 2020, they did a survey of 50 states. Would you believe back in 2020, it was only 5 states that actually required you to have a financial literacy class before you got out of high school?
What states were those?
I don't remember, but I know Florida was not one of them. But now Florida is one of those states, because now they put into place any student graduating in 2025 on will need a financial literacy class. One of my students that I'm working with, my mentee, she actually has the financial literacy class now. She's a junior.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. So what role does technology play in improving financial literacy?
Well, technology is changing every day. So you want to stay up on, different things when it comes to your finances. AI is real. I just want to say AI is real. So when it comes to your finances, you can ask AI questions when it comes to your finances. What's the best online saving accounts that's going to give me the best interest? So technology is huge. Google is everybody's friend. Just getting the information. What is the best credit card you can have when it comes to your interest rate? The lower your interest rate, the less you're going to pay to these financial institutions. So technology is huge. Google University, AI that you can ask anything. So as time goes on, get the answer to our question, but you still need a human person to actually make sure that you're getting the right information as well.
Yeah, just as you mentioned that part about AI, because now people are actually creating their own artificial intelligence.
Oh wow.
And so as this technology is evolving every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, going into every year, it's
Right.
evolving.
Right.
Like as we're talking right now, it's evolving. So when you sit there and you just think about these things that people actually sit and take the time to write a code for these things to interact as people, and they're able to do things as a real person,
Hmm.
that in itself tells you that this technology is so about the here and the now and about the quickness. Do
Right.
you think that that's taking away from the kids, these younger kids' ability to critically think and to do things on their own?
I do. I really do because I mean, for me, growing up, we didn't really have computers per se, but kids are so tech savvy these days. But sometimes it's too much technology,
Yep.
and like you said, they're not thinking because either even when it comes to math, you put everything on the computer. You don't
Yep.
even have to think about it, which is really sad. When I was growing up, everything was longhand. You had to divide, you had to multiply. It's like you didn't put it in the compute, you didn't put it in a calculator. But the sad thing is, if you put the wrong information in the calculator, you're going to get the wrong information that comes out. So you have to know at least the basic, when you put stuff into the into asking AI or asking information pertaining to the computer. But I don't think critical thinking when it comes to young adults. Like I said, I have children and I have grandchildren, but the technology sometimes I think is too much technology infused in everything because they don't have those critical thinking skills.
Right. Now, I had a guest 3 weeks ago, and we were actually discussing that. And I was saying to him, is that just what you were saying, is that I'm so used to how we had to actually figure out the algebraic equations on both sides and get the answer.
Right.
We had to learn how to use that compass when we did geometry.
Right.
We had to use that compass when we did some parts of trig.
Right.
But now they've got this TI-83
That's
or this
correct. You are correct.
TI-85, and they put the stuff in the calculator, and there it goes. It graphs and gives you the answer.
I know. I know. I know. I know. That's so true. Like I said, I love math, but some of the math these days, I'm like, how do you figure it out? You know, like I've done really well with algebra, algebra 2, trigonometry, geometry, but this analysis of function, everything is the calculator. So I'm just, how does I don't understand how children learn. I really don't when it comes to math because they're putting everything in a calculator to get the answer. But if they had to do it longhand, they would have no clue what to do, how to do it, even how to get started.
Nope, they would not.
Hmm.
They would not. And so I just find that interesting because, as I think about like for the time that you and I were in school to now, this is like totally
Right.
different. So these kids don't really have to do anything. And that's why for them, everything is all about instant
Correct.
gratification.
Correct. Correct.
And so, like when we mentioned this process that you're mentioning, and when you talk to young folk about this financial
Mhm.
literacy and learning how to save money for retirement, what retirement is going to look like, Of course, they ain't trying to think about that because everything is so
Right.
instant.
Yep. Like 65, that's way too long, Mrs. Cheryl.
Uh, so, can you tell us how do you address the unique financial challenges faced by women?
Well, women, it's not industry, it's very male dominated. So, talking with women, and I think for women, especially, if they're married, they always feel, most, I'm not saying most women, but some women, usually the husband does the finances and things like that. And that's just the way society has been, taught, as far as the man does the finances and things like that. So for me, it's really, really important because I actually had a young lady. She got divorced, but her husband did everything. Like literally, I was asking her, so how do you pay your credit card? Well, my husband does it. I mean, like we were starting from like from scratch, like on a piece of paper. Okay, well, we need to go through, you know, what does your budget look like? Well, my husband did that. Okay, so what part of the budget did you do? Well, I paid this bill, which was the electric bill. So, so for women, we are very smart women and we are very financially savvy. So it's just, making sure that we understand what we need to do with our money, because we are the number one retailers when it comes to, buying things and things like that. So we are the number one retailers when it comes to using our money. So we want to make sure that we're going to be using it wisely as well.
So, what is the most important lesson you've learned about money management?
The most important lesson that I've learned about money management is, for me, because I've been in the corporate world for so long, is having that monthly budget. That's what's important, having that monthly budget. You can stray away from it, but it's really, really important when it comes to money management because, like I said, you have six-figure earners don't know how to manage their money because they probably don't have a budget in place. And a lot of people don't want to think about budget because it's like a negative connotation. So some people call it a spending plan. But the income that you have coming in and the expenses that you're going out, what part of that can you spend and what part of that are you saving?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's transition over to your mentorship, and again, it's like to acknowledge that it's Women's History Month,
Mm-hmm.
but also to shed some light on this wonderful program that you do where you mentor these young women, these young girls.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's absolutely just one of the best things that you could possibly do. And so, can you tell us what inspired you to become a mentor for these young women?
Okay. Well, it actually goes back to 2002 because I started 23 years ago, and
Mhm.
I was at a company, and they had different vendors come for community service. So
Mhm.
before I started mentoring, I used to be a tutor for kindergartners. The program was called Master Academy Tutoring in the school system. I was actually tutoring kindergartners. Never
Mhm.
imagine in the world that you can tutor a kindergartner. So when I
Mhm.
was doing this program, it was through my county, through my school system, Seminole County school system, and that's when I found out about the mentoring program. Because I've always had it on my heart to be able to give back from a young age. From the age of 9, before I even started counting, I wanted to be a math teacher. So I always
Mhm.
wanted to give back to be able to help others. So my senior year of high school, I took an accounting class. So that's how I ended up in accounting for the last 42 years. But I still had that passion to be able to give back. So for me to be able to mentor these young ladies, knowing that I'm not helping them with math, I still get to do my accounting, I still get to do my numbers, but now I'm making a difference. Just like being a math teacher, I'm making a difference. Being a teacher, it's a hard job. So for me,
Mhm.
being a mentor is so, so rewarding. And like I said, I've been doing it for 23 years in the state of Florida because it's actually a program through the school system, and it's called Take
Mhm.
Stock in Children. And basically, The application is sent out to all eighth graders that are on free and reduced lunch. They get to apply for the program. We send out over 2,000 applications every year. We just finished interviewing our set of eighth graders that's now going to be in the program. So we went from 2,000, it was narrowed down to 200, and we just selected 30. So it's a process. They fill out the application. They have to write an essay why they feel they qualify for the scholarships. The parents have to write an essay why this scholarship is deserving for my child, and then they do a panel interview. So I've been part of that panel interview. It's like 3 of us. I've been part of that panel interview. So imagine being 8th grade, you're like 15 years old, and you're sitting in front of 3 adults it's like interviewing for a job. But those young people, they do amazing. So our mentoring is female on female and male on male. So like I said, to be able to give back to the, be able to give back to the program. Mentorship is that being a cheerleader, because they come from lower income families. So some of my young ladies, they come in with low self-esteem, but I want to be able to build them up to let them know, believe in yourself. You can do whatever you want to do. You just got to believe in yourself. And if they don't believe in themselves, I'm going to put the belief in them until they can believe in themselves.
Exactly.
That's what I'm going to do as a mentor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is so wonderful. I mean, I tell you, that you get some special kudos because I'm serious because, again, that's what this platform is about, especially reaching back to the underserved, marginalized communities. But as the guests that have come on this show, everybody's doing their part, but you in particular, I mean, it's like you're like right there in the school system doing this, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it has been amazing. So actually this year, so we have 64 counties, 67 counties in the state of Florida. So actually I was nominated and awarded the Seminole County Mentor of the Year for Seminole County. Then my information was submitted to the state of Florida. I was just awarded and recognized for the State Mentor of the Year for the whole state of Florida. I just came back from Tallahassee last week. I was recognized, and it was so rewarding. I mean, it was dignitaries there from the Department of Education. It was other mentors there. It was students that was there, but it was just, I can't describe the feeling, but I know being a mentor, I have made a difference in some of these young lady lives. One of my mentees, in next month, in April, she will be 40 years old. I started mentoring her when she was 16. So that's almost 24 years. I've known this young lady, and I'm still in her life to this day. She's married, she has children, and she's one that's actually becoming a mentor. So I know the difference that I have made in these young ladies.
How do you connect with and inspire these young girls from lower income families? How do you inspire them?
Well, we don't talk about where they came from. We talk about where they're going. What do they want to do? What do they want to accomplish? What are their dreams? What are their goals? When I mentor these young ladies, like I said, some of the young ladies, some of the parents, didn't have a chance to go to college. But then some of the parents try to live through their child as far as, well, we want you to do this, but that's not what they want to do. I can give you a perfect example. I had a young lady, she was really good at photography. She now has a photography studio, but her parent wanted her to do graphic design. She did not want to be a graphic designer. That was not her passion in life. So I always told her, do what works for you, because this is what's going to fulfill you. This is what's going to make you happy. I understand your parents, because I remember when she was going to visit the different colleges, and I said, well, do you want me to talk with your parent? Because they was like, well, let's try this school for graphic design. But she's like, no. And so my last name is Blakeney. So most of my students can't say my last name. So for the last 23 years, I have been Mrs. B to my students, which is fine. So she said, so I asked her, her name is Natalia. I said, Natalia, do you want me to talk with your parent when it comes to, when it comes to mentoring? I mean, when it comes to what you want to do? She said, no, I think I can do this. but her parents was trying to live through her. And a lot of as parents, that's what we do, especially if we didn't have the chance to go to college or pursue what we wanted to pursue. But I always tell parents, the child is going to have to figure it out. Let them figure it out, because if they go into something that they don't want to do, they're not going to be happy. They're going to succeed at it. So that's really, really important.
Right. It is. What qualities do you believe make a great mentor?
Well, when it comes to mentoring, I think some of the qualities that make a great mentor is the values that you have yourself. So some of the values that I have are integrity. Always do the right thing, no matter who's watching or who's not watching. Integrity is so important, so that would be a value that I have. And then to be who you are. Don't try to be anybody different. Be who you are, because God made you. God made me to be Cheryl Blakeney. I can't be Cheryl Smith or Cheryl Thomas. I'm Cheryl Blakeney. God made me to be who I am. So stay true to who you are when it comes to your values. And I think that's the most important thing. Hold true to your values. No matter who you are, hold true to your values.
So, how do you encourage these young girls to pursue their dreams despite the challenges?
Like I said, I just encourage them every day. Like I meet during the school year from September to May, because it's a school-based program. So I meet from September to May, and we go through. So like I tell them, I'm not a parent, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a guidance counselor. I'm there to guide you through the program to make sure after 4 years, you have a mentor for the 4 years. You have mandatory workshops that you have to do. You have your GPA have to be like 2.5 and above. And when they graduate, they get a full ride scholarship in the state of Florida to a 2-year community college, or the first 60 credits paid for Florida 4-year public college. So for me, it's just encouraging them every single time I meet with them. We go through their grades. We go through community service. Giving back is so important. I always tell people, it's about giving to others. What can I do to help you? And if I can't help you, what resources can I find to help you? So giving back, if it's 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a month, 30 minutes a year, every 2 years, just give back of your time. Be the difference in that community. And that's how I pride myself on being the difference in these young people, these young ladies' lives, knowing that you have everything inside of you. Now let's pull it out, despite of coming from a low income family. It doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. And where do you want to go? That's the main thing that we focus on.
So, what impact do you hope to have on the lives of the girls that you mentor?
That they will remember Mrs. B. When they get married, when they have their kids, that they're going to remember, wow, I remember Mrs. B. She said I should do this, or maybe I shouldn't do that. I can give you a perfect example. One of my young ladies, she struggled the whole 4 years in high school, like struggled. Now in the state of Florida, D is passing for math. And, I've always prided myself on being really good at math, but she didn't have the belief in herself to be able to do it. But I kept saying, you can do this. Math is one of those subjects you have to practice. You have to practice and you have to practice. So I remember when she graduated from high school, she started her first year in college. And I remember she called me at the end of the semester. It was during the pandemic. She had finished first semester, December 2020. Now, she had to take that remedial algebra before she took college algebra. But I remember she called me and she said, Mrs. B, and she said, I just wanted to let you know, I just finished my algebra class. And I said, well, that's really great. I said, how did you do? She said, Mrs. B, I got an A. Now, Charles, you're in Atlanta, right? So you probably didn't hear me screaming. You probably didn't hear me screaming in Atlanta. But my next door neighbor, they probably heard me screaming, because I know the struggle that she went through for 4 years of high school. But she did everything she could. She did extra credit. She just wasn't a good test taker. And that's what caused her not to do good when it came to math. But to know that she had it, she got an A in intermediate algebra. You don't know how exciting that was for me. I mean, it was just like, I knew that I changed her life. I knew I made an impact, that she started believing in herself. She's like, you know what? Mrs. B said I can do this. I can do this. And that's what she did. And she just graduated last year with her bachelor's degree. And now she's actually working in her field. So I've known her for 8 years. So that the impact for me is to be able to see these young ladies graduate from high school, graduate from college, to go on to be successful. That's when I know I have made an impact on them in their lives.
So how do you incorporate financial literacy into your mentorship programs?
Actually, I have my mentor coordinator. I was able to do a financial literacy class for the students themselves. I have a actual webinar just based on the young people. So I was able to do it for the students. And then I actually did one for the parents. But the mentor coordinator of my program gave me the opportunity to be able to give back to the young people to get them started. I mean, most of them are in ninth grade, ninth to 12th grade. They don't know what a FICO score is. They don't know interest rate when it comes to your credit card. Things like the importance of having good credit, because this world is based on credit. Like literally is based on credit. So having a good credit score, but how do you get a good credit score? If you get a credit card, or you have parents where parents can put their child on their credit card, as long as they have good credit. You don't want to put them on a credit card that's not good credit. But that's how they can get started as well. And then they can see by the time they get out of high school, they might have a 700, 800 credit score and don't even know how they got it. And then the world is theirs. 800 credit score at 18 years old because it's something that your parent did. It's a no-brainer.
Right. Ooh, so you got to be careful and tell them, look, don't mess this up.
I know, right?
What advice do you give to young girls about building self-confidence?
Building self-confidence, I always tell them, in which I'm a firm believer, you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. It doesn't matter if nobody else believes in you, it all starts with you. So that self-confidence starts with you. You got to be able to say, I am excellent. I am beautiful. I can accomplish anything. I can create, I can do whatever I want to do, through Christ, things like that. But you want to be able to say to yourself, I am the best. No matter what circumstances I come from, I am the best. And I'm going to be accomplished. I'm going to graduate from high school. I'm going to be the first in my family to graduate from college and to be able to succeed. So that self-confidence is telling them you can do this. You have everything in you to believe, to be able to do whatever you want to accomplish. Nobody can take that away from you.
So how do you celebrate the achievements of the girls that you mentor?
Well, every year throughout program, we have a end of the year celebration. We have an end of the year celebration for the seniors, which is a program, which is a celebration. And then we have an end of the year celebration for the undergrads. So it's based on your GPA, it's based on if you're a well-rounded student, community service hours, if you're into sports, if you work in a part-time job. So this is how we reward them, because it's not all about academics. Even the colleges these days, you can be a straight A student. But if you never did community service, you didn't, you weren't involved in any clubs, all they see is academics. So I mean, you have some of these young people applying for these colleges and don't get in because that's all they have is academic. But now the colleges are looking more at these students need to be well-rounded. Did they do community service hours? Did they give back to their community? Are they involved in different clubs? Did they do any type of sports? If they're working part-time and they're doing a full-time load with school, that's huge. You're working a part-time job and you're managing full-time going to school, that's huge. So they see that they can be able to, you know, be able to accomplish this. So that's what it is, just the strategy of what you need to do when it comes to, for me, mentoring these young ladies.
So, what role does community support play in your mentorship efforts?
Community, like they said, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a
Yep.
community to make sure that our young people be able to excel. So part of our program, like some of the things, because it's a need-based program, some of our students, like one of my students a couple of years ago, she couldn't go to prom because her parents couldn't afford it. So I reached out to my coordinator and said, I have, my young lady wants to go to prom. They were able to give give money to their parents. She was able to buy a prom dress. She was able to get makeup done. And, just to know that she felt so beautiful knowing that she was able to go to prom. And it wasn't because her parents couldn't afford it, but we had the means necessary for her to go. That is so, so important. To be in your senior year and knowing, Mrs. B, my parents don't have it. I made a phone call that day, and within 24 hours, 48 hours later, they were able to call the parent and say, "What do you need? What is the amount of the dress? What is the prom ticket?" That is
Oh,
huge.
wow.
That is huge
It
for these young
is.
ladies.
Mhm. It is. How do you ensure your mentorship programs are sustainable and impactful?
I think for me, as far as sustainable, the program itself, it just celebrated its 30th year. So the impact that it's made in the state of Florida is huge. So I think the sustainability, because they can see the rate, it's like 100% rate. People, these young people graduating from high school. The rate for graduating from college is like 83%. So we know having this program in place is making a difference to keeping these young people on track, young men or young women. Like I said, I do the mentoring for the young women, but this program I know is going to be around for a long time. So that's sustainability because they can see the impact of what the program has done. Like I was
Mhm.
telling you, I was just recognized last Tuesday, and they actually had a video of a young man. He was homeless, and what happened was someone in his school was telling him about the Take Stock in Children program, and he was able to get in the program. He graduated from high school. He graduated from college. He is now an engineer for one of the biggest engineer companies in the states,
Oh, wow.
all because of this program.
Oh,
So the
man.
sustainability, knowing that, and he didn't know, him and his mom, he came from a single family home, and they ended up being homeless. Not anything that they did, it just due to the situation, and someone in the school system, because they knew his grades, how good he was, and he was on the free and reduced program, and they knew that he would qualify for the program. And like I said, he is now an engineer. This was in 2016. He is now an engineer for one of the biggest engineering companies. But he never would have thought without this program that he would have been able to do that.
And so we're gonna transition to Black History. We do Black History 365. And when I reached out to you, you told me that the biggest influence for you was Martin Luther King.
Yes, sir.
And so, can you tell us how has Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy influenced your career and your life?
Okay. So when I think about Dr. King, I think about his values. One of the first values I think about is integrity. No matter what he went through, what he had, the struggles that he went through, because I was young during that time. And but no matter what he went through, he always wanted to make sure that he did the right thing for everyone. And it didn't matter if you was black, if you was white, he wanted to make sure he did the right thing. So that integrity, always do the right thing, no matter what people say, no matter what people tell you, you shouldn't be doing this. Integrity is huge. So that's one of the things, what I do as far as mentoring. It's actually thinking about being able to have that integrity. Okay. Another value when it
Okay.
comes to Dr. King is dedication. He was so dedicated to making a difference in this world. So for me, that value holds so true for me because I'm dedicated to making a difference when it comes to financial literacy. And it doesn't matter
Mhm.
who you are, because like I said, financial literacy, everyone has the right to know what financial literacy is because we all work hard for our money but we want our money to work hard for us. So having that education behind financial literacy is so important. And the next thing when it comes to Dr. King is loyalty. He had that loyalty to his community, to everyone around him. So for me, my loyalty is to my clients. What can I do, for you to, have that loyalty to me as far as, being able to trust me, being able to say, you know what, I know Cheryl is going to do the right thing for me. So dedication, loyalty, integrity are those values, and those values is what I bring when it comes to educating my clients, mentoring my young ladies, when it comes to, when it comes to life.
So, what lessons from MLK's teachings do you apply to your work in financial literacy?
What I apply when it comes to financial literacy in my work is giving people the right information. Sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know where to start. So I think for me, it's giving them the right information to be able to take that first step to the next step. Before you run, you got to walk. Before you walk, you got to crawl. So for me, being able to give them the information when it comes to their finances, one step at a time.
So, how do you incorporate MLK's principles of equality and justice into your leadership, your mentorship programs?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Now I just heard you. Couldn't hear you. I was
Okay, can you
silence.
repeat the question again?
I says, how do you incorporate MLK's principles of equality and justice into your mentorship programs?
When we talk about equality and justice, that's equality and justice for everyone. Male, female, black, white. That's equality and justice for everyone. So for me, when it comes to mentoring, like I said, most of my young ladies come from lower income families. So they still have the opportunity, no matter where they came from, to be able to succeed. So when we talk about equality, they're just as equal to do something as someone that's come from a higher income family. So that equality, instilling that equality in them, it doesn't matter that you come from a lower income family. That doesn't make you no less than a person because you come from a lower income family. So equality is, incorporated into everyone. It doesn't matter male, female, black, white. That equality, is incorporated into everyone.
So, what does MLK's vision of economic empowerment mean to you?
Economic empowerment is having when you talk about being empowered, that is, they always say knowledge is power, but
Mhm.
knowledge is more powerful when you apply it. So when we talk about economic empowerment, are you empowered to know, what's going on in the world, the economy, the stock market, even, going to the store as far as economic, equality, as far as the price of eggs, the dozen of eggs, just having that, economic, empowerment. Are you empowered to go out there and say, you know what? I know when it comes to empowerment, I know, the basic foundations, when it comes to, being empowered, but empower yourself, get as much knowledge as you can. It's not just one person. Read books on financial literacy. Go out there and, Google financial literacy. What do you want to know? Empower yourself. People need to empower themselves. It all starts with you.
Right. So, how do you honor MLK's legacy in your daily life and work?
For me, I just think about everything that Dr. King went through, and knowing that what he went through was to make a better life for others. So when I think about that, I want to be able to make a better life in my community, in my state, in my in my work environment. So I want to be able to take those same values and know that I'm making a difference, no matter who I'm around, no matter what economic status they come from. But I'm making a difference because of who I am.
So, what role does Black history play in shaping your approach to entrepreneurship?
I think for me, when it comes to entrepreneurship, as far as Black history, is, when I was growing up, I was always told, most people in my generation, you go to school, you get a good education, you get a good job. You weren't told you go to school, you get a good education, you start a business. Not when I was growing up. I think it's a lot different now, for these young people, because these young people, they don't want to stay in a job for 1 year, yet and still stay in a job 20 and 25 years later. So, so for me, I think when it comes to Black history and entrepreneurship, we're all going to have fear at some point. If I start a business, if I can become an entrepreneur, am I going to be able to succeed? Am I going to be profitable? Things like that we think about. But I think in the Black community, it's not thought about as much because it was not something that we was told to do as far as starting an entrepreneur. I started an entrepreneur late in life, but that doesn't mean I couldn't start. I had to start somewhere. So, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's just believing in yourself. Most entrepreneurs, they fail with the first 5 years. Sometimes it takes almost 3 to 5 years before you can succeed when it comes to being an entrepreneur. So, people look at entrepreneur as successful, but they don't know what they've been through to get there. That's the most important thing. They don't know. The road is not straight. It's ups, it's down, it's hills. It's been plenty of times that I've told myself, I don't know if I can do this. But then I hear my mom in my ear saying, don't quit. My mom passed away almost 12 years ago. But when I get to that point, I hear her say, don't quit. Don't quit. That was my mom's favorite poem. And that's what I take from them. Being an entrepreneur, it's not easy, but
so
it is.
How do you use MLK's teachings to inspire the next generation of leaders?
The teachings, when it comes to Dr. King, is, for me, is just part of that is empowerment, teaching them to do the right thing, no matter what anybody else is saying, having that loyalty, being dedicated to what you want to do and how you want to get there. So I think all those are part of Dr. King's legacy, and they will live on for a long time to come.
So what parallels do you see between MLK's fight for civil rights and your work in financial education?
I think for me, as far as the fight is, just giving us the knowledge, to be able to apply that knowledge. Because, the only difference between the lower income and the wealthy is the education that they've had that, most people have not been taught. So give us that education, give us that foundation. So it's not about fighting, like I said, fight the good fight. So I don't think it's about fighting the good fight. I think for me is, let me give you the information that you were not taught. Like I said, it's changed my life. I want to be able to pay it forward, to be able to make a difference. So it's not about fighting the good fight, but just having the necessary tools in your tool belt to be able to accomplish what you need to accomplish when it comes to your finances.
So, how do you encourage others to learn from MLK's example?
How do I encourage others?
Yeah.
I think for me, encouraging others, um, I guess it would be just keep believing in yourself. I don't know. I'm so passionate about the belief, when it comes to yourself, because if you don't have the belief in yourself, you're not going to be able to accomplish anything,
Right.
to me. So just having that belief in yourself and take those values and just instill it in yourself. I can do this no matter how long it's going to take me, no matter what valleys or what hills I got to go over, or what mountains I got to go around. I know eventually if I just keep going, eventually I'm going to be successful. So, even for Dr. King, what he went through for our people, I think didn't matter what happened to him, he kept going. And that's what for me, it would be telling people, no matter what you're going through, just keep going. Just keep going. Because if you stop, you don't know how victorious you could have been because you stopped before you got there.
So, what message from MLK resonates most deeply with you and why?
The message to me that most resonate with me is one of his messages is like you can't see the whole staircase. You can just take one step at a time because you can't see the future. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So for me is just take one step, the step that you can see, and then you can take the next step and the next step. But you can't see the whole staircase if it's around, if it's a spiral staircase. Just take that one step at a time. So for me is just taking that one step at a time because you can't see the whole staircase.
So, in closing, what are some of the words of wisdom that you have for our audience? And also how they can connect with you on social media. How can they follow your website? What information would you like for them to know?
Okay. So first thing I want them to know is no matter what struggles you're going through, don't quit. That has been instilled in me from a young age. I tell my children, I tell my grandchildren, I tell my mentees, no matter what you're going through, don't quit. And then when it comes to my business, when it comes to finances, my motto is financial fitness is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. So as you continue to use those financial muscles, you're going to be a better when it comes to your money. Okay. And then when it comes to my business, I have a financial webinar every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's called Financial Fitness Roadmap. And it's a webinar. It's about 45 minutes. I just give them the basic foundations when it comes to their finances. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, which is my name, Cheryl Blakeney. I have a website. My website is www.freeyourmoneynow.com. Because who don't want to have their money free? You don't want to feel like you're in bondage when you have your money. So freeyourmoneynow.com. That's another way you can connect with me. I have a free consultation. We can talk and see what you're trying to accomplish. And then you can connect with me on Facebook. I have my business page is Financial Fitness Consulting, and then I have my personal page, which is my name. So those are ways that you can connect with me when it comes to your finances. But I always tell everyone, you got to start. It doesn't matter where you start, but you got to start. Because if you say, I'm going to start today, and then 6 months from now, you're still in the same place because you haven't started, you could have been 6 months ahead. So starting now, just take those baby steps and don't feel ashamed where you're at, because everyone don't have that financial education. So, even for me starting in the financial industry world, I've heard of the rule of 72. I didn't know exactly how it worked, but I've heard of it. But now for me, knowing that rule of 72 and applying it in my life has definitely made a difference. So don't quit is the number one thing when it comes to life and when it comes to, learning. And knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is more powerful. Because I could have took all the knowledge I learned almost a decade ago, kept it in my head. How is that going to help anyone else? So I took my information, the knowledge that I learned, and now I'm applying it for others to be able to go further when it comes to their finances. So that's what I would say when it comes to, who I am. And first of all, Mr. Charles King, I would like to thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. This has been amazing. I hope I was able to reach your audience to be able to give back, what I do, how I have made a difference in people that, I surround myself with. And another thing is surround yourself with people that has the same values that you have. That is so, so important. Most people say, do you ever get sad? Do you ever get mad? I'm a very happy person. I mean, everybody goes through, ups and downs, but I'm so positive. People are like, and also they tell me, well, do you ever sleep? Because you do so much. I sleep as well, but but it's just being positive, surrounding yourself with people that has your same values. Like they said, like attract like. And that's what I would say, based on everything that I've talked about this evening.
Well, I want to thank you for being a guest, but also we definitely have to have you back because I love the impact. Not only are you making on your community, but I'm sure that you made an impact on the audience. And so I definitely, like I said, we have to have you back. For those of you that were out here that was just watching this wonderful show, you guys should have gotten a lot of basic tips, good tips that you can use to make your life a whole lot better from the financial literacy perspective. Ms. Blakeney not only broke down the rule of 72, but she also gave you concepts as to how to use and manage money. Now, I would suggest, for those that want to learn more and want to connect with her, to please find her on those social websites, those social media platforms that she's on, or connect with her via her website, because I'm very sure that those webinars that she do would be very, very helpful for all of us to learn or to refresh ourselves about a lot of things that we may have forgotten about. And when she mentions the rule of 72, that is something that I think each and every person should have the opportunity to learn, and also know why it's important to have something like this to use as a tool to make your life a whole lot better. So for those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, if you have not subscribed, we would appreciate if you can support us by subscribing and getting the notifications on the YouTube channel. For every time we do a show live, you will be able to catch the show live, or you can go back and watch it when you like. But you would also get the opportunity of watching shows such as what Ms. Blakeney just did, as well as all the other previous shows. But please show us that support and subscribe to our channel. I want to thank you all for being here this evening. We have another wonderful show tomorrow night, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope that you all will join us again tomorrow night. And again, learn some more tidbits. What's going to be better to help you in your life. Cheryl, I want to thank you again. And as I said before, I definitely would love to have you back. And I hope that you would come back. And I want to thank you for helping our audience to learn a lot about financial literacy. And until next time, we will see you guys. You all please have a